Macbeth's conscience is clearly disturbed by what he has done, and once more his wife criticizes his lack of firmness. She tries to steady her husband and chides him for losing his grip on reality. She becomes angry when she notices that he has forgotten to leave the daggers with the sleeping guards and had forgotten to smear their faces with the blood of Duncan so that it would appear that they are responsible for the king's murder. Macbeth refuses to go back into the room, shuddering at the thought of seeing Duncan's slain body. So Lady Macbeth takes the daggers into the room herself. As she leaves, Macbeth hears a mysterious knocking. Macbeth starts at the noise and feels frightened. He sees a vision of a pair of hands reaching to pluck out his eyes. He thinks that the blood on his hands will not be washed off even by the waters of Neptune or the god of the sea, and that his blood will stain even the largest oceans, turning their waters red. As Lady Macbeth returns to the hall, the knocking becomes loud. Lady Macbeth tells her husband that though she is his partner in crime, she would be ashamed to be as cowardly as him, to wear a heart as white as that which he is wearing. Lady Macbeth leads her husband back to the bedchamber where he can wash off the blood. She told him that he should wash off the blood and put on their night clothes. As the scene closes, we hear a loud and present knocking at the door. A drunken porter lurches to the door. He imagines himself to be the gatekeeper of hell and jokes about the kind of sinners that he might let in. This shows that in the household of the Macbeths, hell has entered because they have committed murder. Eventually, the porter opens the door to Lennox and Macduff, who have been commanded to call upon the king to arrange his departure. Macduff and Lennox enter. Macduff complains about the porter's slow response to his knock. The porter says that he was up late carousing. He starts to chatter on about the ill effects of alcohol. It is early morning and most of those in the castle are still asleep. Macbeth appears. Macduff asks him if the king is awake, saying that Duncan had asked him to call him early in the morning. Macbeth said that Duncan is still asleep and offers to take Macduff to the king's chamber. As Macduff enters the king's chamber, Lennox describes the storms that raged the previous night, which were far worse than anything he had seen in his life. Meanwhile, Macduff, who had gone to awaken the king, came with a cry of horror into the room, saying that the king has been murdered. Macbeth and Lennox too rush into the chamber. The Macbeths play their parts well, expressing shock and horror at the crime. The other noblemen and their servants came streaming in. As Macbeth and Lennox emerged from the bedroom, Malcolm and Donald Bane, the two sons of Duncan, also came out of their rooms. They were told that their father has been killed, most likely by the chamberlains who were found with the bloody daggers. Macbeth declares that in his rage he had killed the chamberlains. Macbeth gave a loud and impassioned speech saying how much he loved Duncan.